Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of the Hill Shadows podcast. I'm Jeremiah, and this is Ashley with me. And we made it to another Saturday night. We're glad to have you guys with us. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you like the video, hit the like button. And make sure you enable notifications. We upload videos weekly and you don't want to miss our uploads. If you're into the strange, paranormal, and unknown, hit the subscribe button. That's what we cover on our channel. And this is our 5th episode. So we made it through 4 episodes. And I've been having fun with it. We've covered a lot of topics. We've gone over, Sasquatch. We've covered... Last week we went over skinwalkers, we covered the dog man, and we also discussed the Hopkinsville green men. And what is our topic for tonight? What are we going to be discussing of the strange and unusual
nature?
The Wendigo. The Wendigo.
Yeah.
That's what I've always been interested in. And this is another one that goes back to Native American lore as well.
Well, the Wendigo is a mythological creature or evil spirit which originates from the folklore of Plains and Great Lakes natives as well as some First Nations. In most traditions, the Wendigo is human in origin and becomes a monster through a process that results either from acts of starvation-induced cannibalism or from possession by a spirit.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
And also, supposedly, they have a heart of ice, is that right?
Something, yeah.
And, it says the example is mentioned in the Jesuit relations. Often label the human-beast hybrids, and they have antlers or horns, that go along with the name Wendigo.
Where did you read that its heart is of ice? Is that what you said?
Well, in some representations as far as indigenous cultures go, they say it's described as a giant humanoid with a heart of ice. A foul stench or sudden unseasonable chill might precede its approach, possibly due to long-time identification by Europeans with their own superstitions about werewolves. For example, is mentioned in the Jesuit relations, which is something I guess they've got listed on here. And it also, says that they often have antlers or horns, associated with these creatures.
I read somewhere where they are said to be cold-weathered creatures.
Interesting.
Most of most sightings have been reported in Canada.
So let's go back to the roots. Where does this come from? Who first spoke of these creatures?
It originates in the folklore of Plains and Great Lakes natives, as well as some First Nations.
So let's see. So this guy gives a description of Wendigo, and it also says here it's part of the traditional belief system of a number of Algonquin-speaking peoples, including the Ojibwe, the Saulteaux, the Cree, the Naskapi, and the Innu. Although descriptions can vary somewhat, common to all these cultures is the view that the Wendigo is a malevolent, cannibalistic, supernatural being. They were strongly associated with winter, as you said, the cold. The north, coldness, famine, and starvation. And as the description goes, the Wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation.
Yeah.
Its desiccated skin pulled tightly over its bones, with its bones pushing out against its skin, its complexion the ash gray of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets. The Wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody, unclean and suffering from suppuration of the flesh. The Wendigo gave off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption. So yeah, in Ojibwe, Eastern Cree, West Main Swampy Cree, Naskapi, and Innu lore, Wendigos are often described as giants that are many times larger than human beings, a characteristic absent from myths and other Algonquin cultures. And whenever a Wendigo ate another person, it would grow in proportion to the meat it had just eaten, so it would never be full.
Yeah, it always needs more to...
So yeah, they're never full, right? They're always protected.
It can never be satiated.
Right. So they're always hungry no matter what. So they just suffer eternally, I guess. So that's
The more they
their
eat,
punishment.
the hungrier they are.
It's seen as the embodiment of gluttony, greed, and excess.
Well, that is another belief that they are. Like, some believe that it's not an actual creature, but like a metaphor almost for the things that you've just said, for gluttony and greed. You know, all the bad things.
So let's see what else I'm finding here. Wendigo need not lose the human's power of cognition or speech, and in some depictions may clearly communicate with its prospective victims or even threaten or taunt them. A specimen of folk story collected in the early 20th century by Lottie Chicagua Marsden, I know I butchered the middle name, an ethnographer of the Chippewas of Rama First Nation, in which a Wendigo also exhibits tool use, an ability to survive partial dismemberment, and auto-cannibalism, reads, and this, I think this is a pretty cool little thing they got on here. It says, one time long ago, a big Wendigo stole an Indian boy, but the boy was too thin, so the Wendigo didn't eat him up right away. But he traveled with the Indian boy, waiting for him till he'd get fat. The Wendigo had a knife, and he'd cut the boy on the hand to see if he was fat enough to eat, but the boy didn't get fat. They traveled too much. One day they came to an Indian village, and the Wendigo sent the boy to the village to get some things for him to eat. He just gave the boy so much time to get there and back. The boy told the Indians that the Wendigo was near them, and showed them his hand where the Wendigo cut him to see if he was fat enough to eat. They heard the Wendigo calling the boy. He said to the boy, hurry up, don't tell lies to those Indians. All of these Indians went to where the Wendigo was and cut off its legs. They went back again to see if he was dead. He wasn't dead. He was eating the juice from inside the bones of his legs that were cut off. The Indians asked the Wendigo if there was any fat on them. He said, you bet there is. I have eaten lots of Indians. No wonder they are fat.
What?
I don't know what that is. It's the Indians then killed him, cut him to pieces. The end of this giant Wendigo.
Oh, I read somewhere about how hard it is to kill a Wendigo, and the whole like silver bullet thing kind of came up again.
It's a pretty crazy story.
Yeah.
And so these things basically spread cannibalism, right? If you get attacked by one of these things, or what happens? Is that what happens to you? If you get so you get eaten, right? You don't become a Wendigo. Is that so? Basically,
no. You become a Wendigo by
participating in cannibalism.
Yeah, it becomes like a. Well,
so it's speaking of cannibalism, it says in some traditions, humans overpowered by greed could turn into Wendigos. The myth thus served as a method of encouraging cooperation and moderation. Other sources say Wendigos were created when a human resorted to cannibalism to survive. So humans could turn into Wendigos
they
by
can be possessed by
being in contact with them for too long.
Yeah.
Which that's interesting.
There's I was reading on the what is it? All That's Interesting, and it said like it was wrote there that it's this evil spirit that devours mankind. This translation is related to yet another version of the Wendigo that has the power to curse humans by possessing them. Once he has infiltrated their minds, he can turn them into Wendigos as well, instilling upon them a similar lust for human flesh. And then there's one of the most infamous cases is the story of Swift Runner, a Native American man who murdered and ate his whole family during the winter of 1879.
Wow.
Swift Runner claimed to be possessed by a Wendigo spirit. Oops. I was reading this, sorry. At the time of the murders. Still, he was hanged for his crime.
This was a true story, then, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm reading here about
supposedly
what is known as Wendigo psychosis, right? So.
Oh, I don't know about this.
So that's when it's when obviously a human participates in cannibalism due to being in a situation of needing food, and they become possessed by the Wendigo spirit. So, in many recorded cases, it says Wendigo psychosis, including certain individuals have been killed to prevent cannibalism from resulting. Some Cree folklore recommends treatment by ingestion of fatty animal meats or drinking animal grease. Those treated may sometimes vomit ice as part of the curing process. So it seems like there may be a cure, which I don't think I'd ever heard of.
I haven't heard anything about that.
So yeah, I guess in most of the cases of Wendigo psychosis, the person affected has to be killed to prevent cannibalism from happening. So once you get the psychosis, I guess the cannibalism is right around the corner, right?
Even yeah.
So there's also a couple
it's like starvation that leads to.
There are actually a couple of reported cases of Wendigo psychosis, and one of them involved a Plains Cree trapper from Alberta named this is the one you're talking about, Swift Runner.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually another one.
There's more stories after that, yeah, that are very similar.
So another one was that of Jack Fiddler, an OG Cree chief and medicine man known for his powers at defeating Wendigos. So this dude was known for beating Wendigos. In some cases, this entailed killing people with Wendigo psychosis. As a result, in 1907, Fiddler and his brother Joseph were arrested by the Canadian authorities for homicide. Jack committed suicide, but Joseph was tried and sentenced to life in prison. He ultimately was granted a pardon, but died 3 days later in jail before receiving the news of his pardon. That's crazy. That's very interesting. That makes me wonder if the people from the movie Alive, is that the one?
No. The movie Alive is about that plane crash.
Right. They had to resort to cannibalism.
Oh, they did.
Right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Do you think they turned into Wendigo?
No, that's a true story.
Did they get psychosis, man?
No, they wanted to live. They had a desire to
survive.
That's
that's what this is all about, man. You end up in a situation where, in order to survive, you look over at your homie and he looks like a chicken leg. You know what I'm saying?
I don't believe that's
what they're saying, though, is the Wendigo psychosis. So, it says no actual cases of Wendigo psychosis have ever been studied. But still, it's an interesting phenomenon for sure.
I've read some about how they'll stalk their victims for long periods of time. Well, I guess that makes sense. You read about the boy,
right?
Kept cutting his arm to see if he was fat enough, but it says that.
Yeah, that sounds
they can stealthily
evil,
stalk
man.
victims for extended periods, thanks to their supernatural speed, endurance, and heightened senses. And hearing so profound, they can pick up on panicked heartbeats from miles away.
So where do these things reside at? Is there any indication of where you might run into one, or is it just anywhere where cannibalism may occur? Right? Is that?
Yeah, but it's usually in colder climates, and they'll also, I guess, hibernate for long periods of time.
That's interesting. Do they turn back into their human form?
I'm not sure about that.
Probably not, right? I think that's probably part of the whole curse, right?
Probably.
Yeah, I would imagine.
What about did you read anywhere about how they mimic humans?
I find that interesting.
Calling for help.
It's kind of like we talked about last week with the skinwalkers.
Mm-hmm.
They do the same things.
Yeah.
Which is why I didn't really, when we started this channel, I didn't really want to focus on one thing, because I feel like all these things are probably
related,
yeah,
connected in some way.
Yeah, I feel like
I did read somewhere that some people believe the Wendigo is like a cousin to a Bigfoot.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do have people report the foul smell, and that's often reported along with Sasquatch sightings and Dogman sightings. I think any creature that lives out in the woods or around water, I would imagine, you probably get kind of ripe after a while, right? I mean, I do after a couple of days. I mean, I can imagine you're living that, right?
Right.
Especially in the case of the Wendigo, you're feeding on people, so you're gonna be really, really foul smelling, I imagine.
Yeah.
And they're never satisfied, so that's part of the. I guess it's, I don't know if you would call it a curse, but it would be kind of a curse, right? A lot of these people probably didn't choose to eat human flesh. I'd say more times than not, they were probably in situations where it was a survive or not survive thing. And I'm reading here that the Wendigo is a type of demon, right?
Yes.
And they can be created from humans, right? And let's see. With every victim, the Wendigo devour. They grow. Yeah. They grow in size, as we said earlier, and
that's true.
It is said that they have the ability to grow to a size that is unfathomable by the human mind, and that the sight of a Wendigo who has devoured many souls is enough to make the human heart freeze in terror. I believe that.
I read somewhere that would to make your mind just like bacon.
And it says they're able to exist in the physical world, and it says although they exist in the physical world, it's actually a spirit form. And like many spirit forms, or like many spirits, the Wendigo has the ability to become invisible, to fly, to become undetectable, which I assume would be predator mode or whatever you call it, or possess humans, which a lot of demons are known for possessing humans.
They're regenerative. They can regenerate as well. If they're harmed.
So like if they lose an arm,
they can
their
regenerate.
arm will grow back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Says most often they'll only possess those who are starving, who are gluttonous, or who have had a craving for human flesh before, or who are greedy and have tendencies to display their wealth openly. So careful when you flash in those wads of cash, man. Anyone who becomes possessed will become Wendigos themselves and will continue to exist as a Wendigo until the spirit is exorcised or they are killed. So I would opt for the exorcism if you got to choose one of the two. However, as Wendigos have incredible strength and are able to move with extreme strength and power, it is highly unlikely that one would be killed. I agree. I mean, I don't think you could use any kind of normal methods to killing an animal.
No, where did you read that? What did you say? I'm sorry. I was reading something.
I just said it's unlikely that one would be killed because of his strength.
Oh yeah, it says that you'd have to have a pure silver blade or stake right through the Wendigo's ice cold heart, and upon wounding its heart, you must shatter it into pieces, the heart into pieces, and then lock the shattered heart in a silver box and bury it in a church cemetery.
That's something you can do to
kill it.
To kill it.
Yeah. And then the rest of the Wendigo must be dismembered with a silver-plated axe, so you can salt and burn the body, and then scatter its ashes to the winds. Or as a second option, bury the pieces in a remote location.
So evidently, we talked about them tracking their prey, right?
Yeah.
So you know how a lot of people say, as far as the Sasquatch topic goes, once you encounter one, maybe, or this is said with ghosts as well, or hauntings. Like, I guess they call it like a hitchhiker effect. Like once you encounter these things, they could possibly follow you home, or
Right.
in the case of a Wendigo, it says they capture the scent of their prey and will always know where the person travels, no matter how far they go, and it's kind of what we were talking about, like the hitchhiker effect, like a spirit could follow you home, or maybe a Sasquatch would mark you, and from the time you see one, you'll see one every time you go out. Some people just like that, I guess. And I don't know. I feel like it would be difficult just to kill it just because of the size alone, which I feel like that about like most cryptids. Like anything, they report most things to be 8 to 10 foot tall, and I don't feel like a conventional gun would do the trick. I feel like you're probably just gonna piss it off, right?
But yeah, it cannot be. It has to be with a silver bullet or a silver blade.
What about any kind of religious measures, or it's just
Not
straight?
that I've read.
So you gotta.
But you're
you gotta
also
have
not
silver.
safe within your house either. Like if you're being pursued by one, and you think you're coming up to your home and you run in and lock the doors. That doesn't matter. They can still get in.
So it's interesting that I've also seen Wendigo fever. And that's it's thought that the creature is able to cause an illness, to people, and the disease is thought to be one of the ways that it's able to obtain victims to eat, and that's making them sick with an illness called Wendigo fever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's said to start with a strange and disturbing smell. The only person who can detect the foul smell is the infected person. When the victim falls asleep...
On themselves? What now?
If a Wendigo is stalking prey, for
Okay.
example, it may infect a person with something called Wendigo fever.
Okay.
And when it begins, the person may sense a strange and disturbing smell. The
On
only
themselves?
person that can smell it is the person.
So you smell it on yourself?
I don't think they smell it on themselves. I think
That's
you
what
just
it says?
smell it. You just smell
Oh, okay. Like it's just.
it. And when the victim falls asleep, they will be plagued with horrible nightmares that will cause them to wake up and cry from fear. When they wake up, they will begin to feel a terrible burning sensation in their legs and feet, which will cause them to run from their home shrieking. And all the victims will inevitably run to the woods, shedding their clothes as they go. And
right where they want it.
And do you think these people are ever seen again?
Of course not.
Nah.
They go missing 411.
Nope. Missing 411.
I did read somewhere that the Wendigo is blamed quite often for many people that have
disappeared.
Missing. Yeah.
I mean, we know there's something doing it, and I don't think it can be explained by modern science. Whatever's going on, there's a lot they're not telling us about. And
of course.
It's just that thing that anything that's out of their control, they won't acknowledge. I feel like so.
Well, yeah.
And definitely the Wendigo falls in that category, as well as the other cryptids we've discussed. And if you
I wonder how much there is that is known.
Oh, very little.
Or fact.
Very little.
You think it's little?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I disagree. I think it's just something they try to want us to believe is not real.
Well, I mean, how much of the oceans have we explored?
Very
so
small.
Far? That's very, very small.
But you really think that
Not
there's
much.
something that...
Like what?
Any of the things that we've talked about.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel
you
like...
think that they've not acknowledged any of it. And when I say they, I
Who is they,
that's what I'm
first of
trying
all? Because, I mean, obviously there are people who acknowledge these things. I don't know.
I
don't know that I've ever seen a Wendigo or encountered one, or maybe I haven't encountered anything. I feel like I probably
I'm necessarily
have.
meaning Wendigo.
I've encountered some weird stuff, man. I don't know.
I'm not sure who they is.
Yeah, who is they, first of all?
People above me.
Science? The government?
I think it's further than
because,
that.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just like...
Black,
you
what's
know,
it called? Jeez.
if
I
you
don't know
think
why I get
about
on here and my mind goes blank.
if you really think about it, though,
What?
if you think about it, they came right out and told people that UAPs are real, UFOs, whatever.
Well, there's still so many people that.
And people still laugh about it.
It does not make sense to me.
So do you think it would matter if they said? I don't even know
not.
that it would go that far.
Not to the majority of people, probably not.
Because
sadly,
I don't know if you guys have heard, but recently they had somebody go over the Patterson-Gimlin film, the famous
this is
1976 only known recording of an alleged Sasquatch creature. And this guy, he's been studying this film for decades, and he's like a video expert or something. I can't remember his name, but anyway, he said that without a doubt this thing was an organic creature.
Yeah.
It was not a man in a suit. And they were able to use some new technology, some type of LiDAR scanning, and go back to the original site and actually find certain places that they could mark and figure out the precise size of her.
Show.
I don't think we can say that, say the name. It's a popular show that covers the topic of Sasquatch.
Pretty big right now.
It is very big right now, but it was very interesting. I think they said she was like 6'3".
Yep.
Which, interestingly enough, I didn't know this, but apparently gorillas have like a tuft of hair on the back of their neck, which will stand up when they feel threatened or
nervous.
Or
uneasy.
This was actually seen in the video.
Yeah.
And I've never heard this talked about before. I found it very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And
and
also,
that? How many people know that?
When it comes to gorillas, like, the females are 25% smaller than the males. So if you do that math,
if she is in fact Patty is female,
it would put males at around 8 to 10 foot, which is about what people describe them being.
Yeah.
So that's a real creature in that video, guys. No matter how you feel about it, it's not a person in a suit.
Well, that was his opinion, anyways. He believed it was.
Who would? Nobody's even talked about the tuft on the back of the neck. No, who would have thought about that? Even if you had made a suit.
About
1976 though. I don't know.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like to make something big like that.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's I don't know. You can't really.
I don't think it was a person in a suit. I really don't.
There's that one man that said that he was the one in the suit.
How many people? There's been like 8 people, right?
Yeah, there has been
several. Like 8 people
there is
claiming
one
they
in
were
particular that.
Out of those 8 people, I promise you, at least 7 are lying. So it wouldn't surprise me if all 8 were. That's a crazy amount of people to step forward. Y'all, there's some weirdos out there, man. Quit claiming that. I don't know who does it, but
why people have to do that?
That's so weird. Why would anybody do that? Quit throwing shade on these people. I think they got the only real footage. I believe,
You think that's the only real footage?
I don't know.
Are you serious?
No,
there's a lot of really good footage out there.
Well, we know there are people out there be hoaxing.
Sure.
Without a doubt.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people y'all trust a lot hoax. But let them get theirs however they want to get it. It ain't my place to talk down on them.
Putting stuff together.
No, you don't have to, man. There's enough weird stuff going on out there. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything extra. I will never. I don't need to. It's interesting enough just being out there. Yeah, right. I don't want to.
Don't want to.
Like I said, I'm not really. I wouldn't consider myself a researcher as much as I'm just interested. Right?
You mean field researcher?
I'm not. Yeah, I study and research things behind the desk, but I'm not.
I like being out there though.
But I tell you what, I
like going out looking.
I do like going out and searching and finding things that
it's fun to me
that you could attribute to some of these things. It's interesting. It's fun, and I also feel like if I was gonna do a documentary covering any of these things, I I wouldn't spend a weekend out and record myself doing a camping trip. It's something you would have to spend a few months. I feel like
documentary takes.
It's gonna take some time.
A good amount of time. If you want it to.
It's gonna take you some time to get like far enough out.
Yeah. Why are we talking about this right now? Like this kind of got a bit off topic.
Because that's what happens in a podcast, man. You just let it roll and you run with it, and that's what we do at Hill Shadows. Make sure you subscribe because you don't want to miss this every week. But seriously, if you're into this kind of thing, make sure you are subscribed. And I don't know what we're going to be covering next week yet, but I want to say thank you to Rick for the email you sent us. We shared that in a video, and we want to encourage you guys, if you have any stories you want to share, if you've encountered a Wendigo or anything weird, just shoot us an email to hillshadowsky@yahoo.com, and we'll share your email. And if you want us to share your name, we'll share your name too. But we'd love to hear your stories.
Topics.
And we'd love to hear about any topic. If you know about anything strange.
No, that you would want us to cover. Is what
if you've got any suggestions, if you guys want to hear anything specific, get in contact with us. And we'll definitely get around to the topic eventually. I know you've got a bunch of topics written down, correct?
I do.
So we have somewhat of an idea about the direction we're going to go. But yeah, we're just going to take them one at a time. We figured this was a pretty good follow-up to the Skinwalker topic. It's kind of similar origins, I suppose. So it was a good place to connect to. It's something I've been curious about. I know it's something we often joke about and say Wendigo because you mispronounce it quite often. You often mispronounce the name Wendigo. So now I often refer to it as Wendigo just because
the Wendigo.
The Wendigo. So if you guys if you guys know any cool stories about Wendigos or Sasquatch, let us know. And
there was a cool one on that show, These Woods Are Haunted.
That's about a little
boy that. Really show. Are you allowed to talk about this? It's just overview.
I'd be careful about saying names and stuff, like show names.
Why?
Well, because it's copyrighted material and.
Oh well, never mind then. I already said the name. Never mind.
Well, I mean,
there's a cool story on there.
I mean, it's a really good
what
show.
I believe to be I believe it was a Wendigo. It's pretty creepy. I didn't want to listen to any more of it.
I tell you what, some of those stories will make you not want to go out in the woods camping.
They're good though. Whether you believe that show or not, like you think the people are full of crap, I don't know.
Well,
they're good stories. Regardless.
Here's the thing. I think all these encounters these people have are just chance encounters. They're like these 1 in a million things, and when you go out looking for it, you're probably never gonna find it.
Really?
But
I think sometimes you do create things to happen for yourself. You think about something so much that you almost create it for yourself.
I guess, but part of me thinks
I'm probably wrong about that, but
I think the wilderness is so vast that running into these things is, it's very unlikely.
Not likely. No, I'm sure it's not.
But it does happen.
I don't want to run into one. I don't want to know if they're actually real or not.
Yeah, that's me too. Like,
this massive,
I'm very
creature.
curious about it, but do I want to run into one? No, not necessarily.
I'm gonna do my best to be a good person.
Right? Yeah. I mean, don't be eating people, I guess, is the message of this week's podcast.
No, you can't be greedy.
Don't be greedy.
There's several things that go with it.
Don't be greedy. Don't be flashing your money around. Don't be taking pictures of your gas station receipts and posting them on Facebook. Get out of here. Boo. Boo you. That's a really cringeworthy. Don't do that. Don't. Because there's some people that can't afford gas. I don't understand why people like to take pictures of what they have and show people. For me, it's like
some people need approval. I'll take
a picture and keep it for myself, but I don't know. I'm real funny about posting stuff.
Well, you're not the only person that's paying it.
Yeah.
The next person is too. I mean,
right, we all paid
it.
the same gas prices. I don't know if you guys needed this news flash, but everybody pays the same gas price.
All right, we're going too far off topic. Let's quit.
And we're gonna be paying gas prices until we get some electric cars. I'd gladly go.
Even that, I don't know. I could go on about that too, but I'm not.
We could rant and rave, or we could get out of here and enjoy our Friday night and see you guys next week. We're gonna have some cool stuff coming up. We're actually gonna be heading out tomorrow to go camping in Owsley County in a pretty remote location. And I went and scoped out the place last week. I lost everything I recorded, but hopefully we can.
Lost. What do you mean?
I mean,
fell out your pocket.
Yeah. I dropped it. I lost my pocket up there.
The file.
No, the SD card messed up on me. So, but we're going back tomorrow and we're gonna record it. So I'm gonna throw something together. I don't know what we're gonna get. Hopefully, nothing too crazy. But there's a few little things I definitely want to show you guys that I seen when I was up there. So I look forward to it, and there's no telling what we may see or hear while we're up there tomorrow. It's pretty far from any kind of civilization. We're not gonna be here.
I mean, I'm not. There's no service.
Right.
I don't hope
no
nothing
service.
too crazy.
Yeah, we don't. We're gonna keep it as calm as possible. We're gonna document anything and share it with you guys. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. And next weekend also we're gonna have the podcast happening again. So that's another thing you don't want to miss. So hit that subscribe button, and we're gonna get out of here and enjoy our Friday evening and get ready to wake up tomorrow and go camping and see what we can find in the hills.
Well, this will be uploaded tomorrow though.
Right. I should have it. Yeah. But yeah, till then, you guys have a great weekend. I'm Jeremiah, and this is Ashley with me. We've had fun, and we'll see you guys then. Have a good one.